Okay, so maybe this is an epic troll, or maybe Donald Trump just made a mistake in an email. In my personal assessment, my personal opinion, Donald Trump just pulled an epic troll on the Missouri Senate primary, a race with 3 Erics, by endorsing simply Eric. I'm sorry, man. This is why I like Donald Trump. You know, he makes things fun. He makes things funny. And he shakes things up. The dude knows how to push buttons. Okay, it's primary day in a bunch of states, some important ones, notably Arizona. People are losing it over Arizona governor candidate Kari Lake because she's got questions about the 2020 election. So, of course, articles are coming out saying that people should reject her, but she's expected to win. In the meantime, in Missouri, Donald Trump endorsed 3 different people. 2 of them came out and said they both talked to Trump on the phone, accepting his endorsement. I don't know what this is, but it's funny. It's funny. And there's good and there's bad to it, man. You know, things are so crazy in this country right now with the culture war, and things are crazy in the Indo-Pacific and the South China Sea, that when you see a story like this, you just laugh. You laugh, and people are tweeting at me saying, like, I hope Trump did this on purpose, because it's meaningless, but it's funny. At the same time, here's the real news. The misery index is out, and Democrats are expected to lose. This we know. So there's a lot of information pertaining to what's going on with the upcoming midterm elections. New data suggests that with inflation, gas prices, wages, people are suffering. And not only will Democrats lose Congress, they will lose the Senate. Now, of course, many people, we knew this, right? We knew that was the case. Okay. Well, Democrats have been improving in the polls. So it's important that we take a look at the context. New context comes out. I'll tell you, even if the news is good, you need to go out and vote today and bring 3 of your friends to vote with you. I don't care if you're a libertarian. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. I will make the nonpartisan statement of, if you want to win, you gotta get people to go and vote. This is the big news. Now, you guys know, Kari Lake, I think she's fantastic. I don't live in Arizona. I appreciate her candor. I appreciate her attitude. And I think she makes really important points about illegal immigration and sending in the National Guard. Absolute respect. So I don't know much about the Democrats that are running, but I do know that Kari Lake is a good person. And I've met her personally several times, and I think she's legit. If you like her, or if you don't, get 3 of your friends and go out and vote. You know what I don't like? It's primary day. I just want to stress that again. This is an important day. For these states, there's been many primaries, and the midterms are coming up in like 3 months. People always say, you got to go vote, you got to go vote. And then they say, you're voting for my guy, right? And then when you say no, they get all angry. No, I'm not going to do that. You know my opinion on this stuff, and I'll give you more of my opinion, especially as it pertains to Trump baffling the GOP by endorsing just Eric. But seriously, the path to victory lies in you calling up 3 of your friends and saying, meet me here. You go vote. Maybe you go grab some drinks or a pizza slice afterwards. Maybe you go for some chicken wings. Just get people out, get them to participate. Let's read the news on what I believe. My opinion on this is that Trump epically trolled the GOP, and it's hilarious. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com, become a member to directly support our work. If you like these videos, they're free. They're always free. But you being a member at timcast.com helps me do this work. Well, we've got a series of free shows. We've got Pop Culture Crisis, and of course, Timcast IRL. But over at timcast.com, we've got Tales from the Inverted World. We've got the Cast Castle vlog coming up soon with a promo episode is going to be launching, I believe, next week. And then we're going to be doing behind the scenes with, comedy and stuff. The goal is to up the ante and make new shows. And of course, you get the Timcast after show, uncensored. We're doing a lot. We have journalists writing. We are hiring new journalists all the time. We got a new guy coming in soon. If you believe in the work we do, timcast.com, become a member. But don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the story from NBC News. Trump baffles GOP by endorsing Eric in the Missouri Senate primary, a race with 3 Erics. The Republican primary for an open Senate seat in Missouri includes former Governor Eric Greitens, State Attorney General Eric Schmitt, and little-known Eric McElroy. Here's how the Daily Mail reported it. Confusion as Trump endorses Eric in Missouri GOP Senate primary, despite that being the name of both GOP candidates. Pair each claim the ex-president is talking about them in dueling statements. Mr. President, I just think you're a funny guy. That's it. Okay, I'm going to pause real quick. This is probably bad for the GOP. Or I suppose no matter who wins, Trump is going to be like, I called it. Eric won. Yeah. I think he's talking about, I assume he's talking about Eric Schmidt. I don't know. I suppose we can read and figure it out, but they call him a madman. Here's the statement that Donald Trump made just yesterday. In an email, he said, "There's a big election in the great state of Missouri, and we must send a MAGA champion and true warrior to the U.S. Senate. Someone who will fight for border security, election integrity, our military, and great veterans, together with having a powerful toughness on crime and the border. We need a person who will not back down to the radical left lunatics who are destroying our country. I trust the great people of Missouri on this one to make up their own minds, much as they did when they gave me landslide victories in the 2016 and 2020 elections. And I am therefore proud to announce that Eric has my complete and total endorsement." The whole thing is crazy. Donald Trump is not the president, and he did not win in 2020. And he's endorsing a man named Eric, but there's more than one. There are three. Daily Mail says two. In fact, there are three. I give you Ballotpedia, Republican Party primaries in Missouri 2022. You got a lot of people running. Notably, you've got Eric Greitens. This guy, he made this video where he storms into someone's house and people were really mad with him. Then you got Eric Schmidt, and then you have Eric McElroy. I don't think anybody is familiar with Eric McElroy. I don't think Trump was saying he was endorsing him, but he basically endorsed everybody. Bizarrely vague, the backing came in the form of a statement posted to Trump's social media platform, Truth Social, under the letterhead, Missouri State Endorsement. The statement saw the ex-president offer up his seal of support for upcoming Senate primary. However, Trump didn't just pick one candidate to endorse. Instead, he appeared to endorse two, both of whom, Eric Greitens and Eric Schmidt, have the same first name. Making matters worse, I love this. Both candidates claimed the endorsement as meant for them, with the two each asserting they had spoken to the former head of state and were thrilled to have his support. The endorsement has since interjected an air of confusion into the hotly contested Republican race, which will be decided Tuesday. What? Okay, I'm going to say it's funny. I've been laughing all day. This could backfire. It depends on the polling. But Donald Trump's endorsement matters. And if Trump comes out and says Eric Greitens and Eric McElroy and Eric Schmidt, he could theoretically split the vote in three. And then who knows who might end up winning? Is that his intention? A chaos vote? How is it possible that both Erics, two Erics, are claiming Trump endorsed them? Take a look at this. Eric Greitens says, "I just had a great phone call with President Trump. I thanked him for his support. Together we will MAGA and save America." Team Schmidt says, "President Donald Trump endorses Eric Schmidt for U.S. Senate." Statement from Eric Schmidt, "It is truly an honor to have President Trump's endorsement in the Senate race." Now, the question is, they both, maybe I was wrong about this. I thought it said they both claimed to have talked to, both are asserting, right. Both asserted they had spoken to Donald Trump. Right, that's what I read. I got to wonder if Donald Trump actually got on the phone call with them, and he's just screwing with everybody. I mean, it'd be funny, right? Trump's announcement spurred a swift response from both candidates. Schmidt said that it was truly an honor to have the president's endorsement. At his final pre-election rally in the St. Louis area, Schmidt, 47, told supporters he'd been endorsed by Trump and that he'd thanked him over the phone when he called with the news. Welcome to Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen. I can't imagine this was a blunder. I think it was intentional, and I really wonder why he's doing it. Arizona is extremely important to Donald Trump's claims of election fraud. The idea that if I'm sorry, this is Missouri. I don't understand why he's doing it, irrespective of Arizona. I'll get into that in a second. I don't know what his goal is with Missouri or what he really wants for it, other than maybe he's trying to generate press for him, or maybe they accidentally, I think I got it. I wonder if they were planning on endorsing one of the two candidates, so they drafted the letter but did not put the last name in and then accidentally sent it out. Maybe. I'd imagine that if that was the case, it would say like Eric and then brackets would be like insert last name or something. Instead, it just says Eric. And then he spoke with both of them on the phone and apparently thanked them both. Who's lying? I don't know. I really don't know. Now, here's what I want to get into. I think what we want is we want to talk about the candidates that we think are good, and we want to talk about why it's so important for you to vote. Now, you guys know I don't agree with Trump. I'm frustrated and annoyed by his constant harping on 2020 and the election. I have questions about 2020. 2,000 mules, legitimate. I think there are concerns brought up there that are legitimate, that should be raised, and we need a hard inquiry. The problem is you have to win in order for any of that to happen. My priority is not to talk about 2020 or just to placate people who think something happened. We heard a lot of crazy stuff about servers in Germany and Sidney Powell and all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, this was hurting the Republicans. Why did the Democrats win in Georgia in the special election? Because people were convinced they couldn't win if they voted. We have to reject that mentality, period. No matter what you think about what's going on. Kari Lake expected to win. Well, you better go out and vote. You want Kari Lake to go and investigate 2020? I don't care. Fine, whatever. But she has to win first, right? So my attitude is simple. What I care about, not so much 2020. I have concerns. There are stories that are written that give me pause. I don't believe the conspiracy theories like the ones about Germany and Venezuela and stuff like that. But I am open and ready to accept any inquiry they want to do. Okay? Oh, wait, well, you got to win. My thing is immigration's a big problem. Kari Lake, she's big on solving the problem of illegal immigration. I should clarify. I should say illegal immigration is a big problem. Actually, I'm a big fan of regular old immigration when it's done legally. I believe Kari Lake is probably all down for that as well. Having people come through the country in the proper process. Newsweek reports Arizona AG blasts election fraud claims ahead of Kari Lake's expected win. They say Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich has dismissed an absurd suggestion that hundreds of dead people voted in the 2020 election following an investigation. In a letter to Arizona State Senate President Karen Fann, who has frequently pushed the debunked claim of widespread voter fraud in the last election, Brnovich said his office's election integrity unit looked into allegations of dead voters, which were made in the heavily disputed audit from the company Cyber Ninjas. The audit, ordered by Fann, claimed that 282 individuals died before October 5th, 2020, voted in the November 3rd presidential election. Brnovich said his team spent hundreds of hours investigating the claims from Cyber Ninjas and found that only one of the 282 individuals on their list was dead at the time of the election. Okay. This, I don't care about. 282 people, guys. 282 people, I think, fine, look into it. I don't know if I trust any of this stuff, whatever, it's fine. 282 doesn't move the needle. Okay, here's what you need to do. Don't heavily focus on this. I don't like it. I think what you need to do is win the elections, make the changes you want. And if you want these investigations, you got to control the system. How do you control the system? Donald Trump needs to be coming out, endorsing candidates directly. So like I know I laughed about the baffling everybody by endorsing 2 people or 3. Trump needs to come out and say, remember the economy under Donald Trump. It was amazing. Remember the Abraham Accords, the foreign policy leadership in North Korea. They tried to smear him over it, but he needs to come out and tell people, look, man, it was good. And I respect that. I think too many people are caught up on all the election stuff. I think it's just a waste of time. I think it's a waste of time right now. If Republicans come to me and say, Tim, we're going to win in November and then we're going to do audits and investigations, I say, please do it. Please do it. Prove all your claims or disprove all your claims. I just want resolution. What really bothered me about the Democrats is no resolution. Now, I know many of you believe that there is or isn't. Fine. I don't operate off of that. I say, show me the evidence and I'm happy to engage. For the time being, win the election, please. Get your friends out. Get them to vote. This primary matters. We've got a bunch of news stories that are big. Pennsylvania's expanded mail-in voting upheld by state Supreme Court, likely keeping it in place for November election. What you need to understand here is that the big news previously was that a lower court ruled mail-in voting in Pennsylvania violated the state constitution. Now, the state Supreme Court, in a 5-2 ruling, with 2 Republican justices both voting no, have said, we find no restriction in our Constitution on the General Assembly's ability to create universal mail-in voting, wrote Justice Christine Donahue in the majority opinion. You know what this means? Stop. Full stop. When it comes to November, Democrats are going to be going door to door, knocking on doors, going to nursing homes, and going anywhere they need to encourage that vote, to fortify the election. Republicans have a harder time of this. In Pennsylvania, it is time that anybody who takes issue with this stuff, you need to go out and you need to, you know what? I can't believe it. How is it that we only have one Scott Pressler? Do you guys know Scott Pressler? First of all, he cleaned up trash. Good dude. Went around helping clean up cities. Now he's registering people to vote. Every single one of you who can, if you have time and you have the energy, go and do it. Knock on doors and ask them if they're registered to vote. When it comes to universal mail-in voting, go knock on doors, and you need to do it 10 times more than Democrats do. Knock on doors and say, did you fill out your mail-in voting? When it comes to it, because this is how you will win. For whatever it is you believe happened in 2020 or whatever, overwhelm the system. Get everyone to come out. Call your friends, call your brother, call your sister, call your mom, call your cousins, and say, meet me here. We're getting pizza and we're voting. Make that difference. The Daily Mail, here we go, baby, says the misery index shows Democrats losing 30 to 40 seats in the midterms. Election battlegrounds like Nevada and Ohio among the gloomiest U.S. states for inflation and jobs ranking. I want you to picture this in your minds, my friends. Right now, some people are worried about fraud, and they say hope is lost, and that's why Georgia went Democrat when it should not have. But the reality is, it is being reported. You are storming the gates. The center has broken. Charge is what you should be yelling. You should be calling your friends saying, now's our chance. The enemy is routed. Let's get 3 of our friends and go vote. That's the path forward, man. I like Kari Lake. I don't want to go so far as say like I would endorse or anything because it's not my position. I don't live in Arizona. I don't know what's best for the Arizonans. I can only tell you that she reached out to us. We've had her on the show several times. She is one of the few politicians who is willing to take the craziest questions. The same is true of Marjorie Taylor Greene. The same with Rick Santorum. I know he's not in the Senate anymore, but he spoke passionately about what he believed. I don't agree with everything. Not everybody does. But I can respect someone who's going to sit down for 2.5 hours and have that conversation. Kari Lake did it. I respect that. If you like Kari Lake, and I know many of you do, the time is now to call up your friends and say, charge. You don't, like we're getting this news, the Democrats are expected to get, wiped out in the midterms. Now's not the time to sit back and be like, we got it. Now's the time to do the opposite. Charge forward. 30 to 40 seats, make it 70 seats. I'll tell you this. Do you know how many people voted for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in her district? It's like, what is it, like 20% of her district is like 150K or something like that out of 750,000, 775,000. If every single Republican voted, they would rival this number because there are conservatives, like 20%, a little bit less in New York, but they just don't because they're like, what's the point? If every single conservative in AOC's district started going door to door and saying, we have moderate opposition in the Republican Party, just look. Now, of course, you're going to have a lot of people saying no. They're going to laugh. Like 1 in 10, 1 in 5 people are going to be like, get out of here. But you must plant the tree whose shade you will not sit beneath for a society to grow great. This is what I'm saying right now to all of you. Now is the chance. The ground is fertile. The fields have been tilled, and you need only bring all your friends out and get it. The Daily Mail says, an unusual model for economists, the so-called misery index, bodes badly for Joe Biden's Democratic Party in the upcoming midterm elections. Based on past voting patterns, the Democrats can expect to lose 30 to 40 seats in the House. It's amazing. And also several in the Senate, according to a Bloomberg economic study. In that scenario, Democrats would lose their already weak grip on both chambers, and Republicans would control Congress for the rest of Biden's term. The misery index is calculated by adding up the inflation and employment rates to create a measure of voters' likely attitudes when they cast ballots on November 8th. By October, the index could have hit 12%. Barring a spike in early 2020 at the start of the COVID-19, that would be the highest level since the dragged-out recession in 2011. Models predicting elections are far from perfect, but the misery index has been relatively successful successful over the decades. Other midterm election forecasts range from sweeping Republican gains to an effective wash. Still, there is a consensus in Washington that inflation at 9.1% and a recession, by the way, and high gas prices will hurt Democrats. Take a look at this. From the Bureau of Labor Stats, misery index, unemployment versus inflation. Oh, man. Look at that unemployment spike and look at that inflation spike. It is unprecedented. Here we go. President party rarely gains seats in midterms, in the first term especially. Over the past several decades, take a look at this. Republican president, Democratic president. In 1994, we saw massive gains for the Democratic president. Then we can see, this is, I believe that was the midterm. Okay, so that was surprising. I thought I'm sorry. I have it backwards. A major loss. I was going to say that's when the Republicans swept, and it was what was it? It was the contract with the American population or the American people or whatever. Republicans took back the Congress for the first time in 40 years. You can see it coming. Liz Young, an investment strategist at finance firm SoFi, said the index was elevated but still way lower than in the 70s and 80s when both inflation and unemployment were high. The study was released after a glut of gloomy economic indicators. The Federal Reserve last week announced it would increase interest rates by 0.75%, hitting the brakes on the economy in a bid to control surging inflation. The rate hike will cause interest rates on mortgages, credit cards, and all types of loans to go up, causing monthly bill payments to soar and hurting Americans' ability to repay debts. The Commerce Department on Thursday said the U.S. economy had contracted for the second quarter in a row, meeting the classic definition of a recession, typically when employers freeze hiring or lay off staff. Well, I can tell you this, we here at Timcast are doing quite the opposite. Why? We're lucky. We are really lucky. No, seriously. Ad rates are down. I could feel the recession coming a long time ago. I've talked about food shortages, but we're lucky because there are people who support us at timcast.com. And here's what we need. We need good shows. We need good content. And that's what we are hyper focused on. Tales from the Inverted World, Pop Culture Crisis, Cast Castle. A lot of people wanted Cast Castle to be free. It just didn't make any money. It wasn't sustainable. And with ad rates dropping, I was like, we're just spending money to make a show that some people like. Hey, become a member because we're going to make more and more shows. And I hope that within 2 or 3 years, we're going to have comedy specials. We have field reporters already, but we're going to do more. We have a documentary coming out in the works right now. What is an assault weapon? Because you guys support our work, we're able to weather this storm. And this is what matters. It's not about us here at Timcast. We are going to either recede, freeze hiring, or hire, depending on how we do as a business. What matters right now is that you guys vote. The misery index is big. I can feel it. Everybody else can feel it. Inflation is brutal. What you need to do, if you want to turn this around, is take advantage. If they're saying 30 to 40 seats, I will stress it again. Make it 60. You can share the idea with everyone. Man, you know what really breaks my heart is that I know if every conservative leaning individual in New York City went door to door and said, here's why I believe what I believe. Here's a pamphlet. What do you think? And just had that conversation. It would change the shape of this country. What's happened is we had Kimberly Klacik running in Baltimore as a Republican, and people roasted her. They were criticizing her. They were like, she's never going to win. What a waste of people's money. And I'm like, she did one of the most important things imaginable. Running in a deep blue territory, planting the seeds whose shade she knows she will not sit beneath. Why? More and more people saw what Scott Pressler did when he cleaned up the streets. More and more people heard about what people like Kimberly Klacik believe when she campaigned. Invest in these places. Now, New York, major urban centers, I don't care where you're at. People need to stand up for what they believe in. I guess the idea is that it's scary. Seriously. People are worried about Antifa, violence, all that stuff. Not everybody can do it, and I don't blame everybody for not doing it. We just need 1 in 10. How about that? 1 in 10 people to be like, you know what, I can make a difference. We need organizations. We need the GOP. We need libertarian-minded people using the GOP. We need populist, America First, nationalist Republicans. I don't like the neocons, but the Republican Party is this vehicle to go out and hand out pamphlets or something. I'll tell you what I find fascinating. I get text messages periodically from individuals who won't tell me their political affiliation. I'll get a text message and they're like, hey, I'm fighting to help the American worker. Will you donate? And then I'm like, which political party are you? Because that matters. Now, to be honest, what I usually ask is how many genders are there? And then they never respond. The amazing thing is they call me sometimes. I don't answer, but because I don't answer for anybody. But I'd be really interested to be like, look, I've donated. The reason they call me is because I've donated to Democrats in the past. Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang. Because I actually thought they were doing well. Not a big fan of Andrew Yang at this point. He's okay. You know, he's not the worst, but I wouldn't support him at this point. Tulsi Gabbard, I think, has done better calling out Biden and stuff like that. I think she's great. I think we need to speak up, win. And for all the fraud claims, do not let them discourage you. This is the crazy thing. I firmly believe that it is possible, nay likely, I'm not saying it's true, that there are Democrat activists masquerading as conservatives sowing the fraud narrative, going around and telling everybody because they know it suppresses the vote. Don't you think it's possible? Why it is, that's like, you know, you'll get someone who says, I think we need to go out and we need to vote. And then all of a sudden someone says, what's the point? And I'm like, why are you getting everyone down? Yo, the founding fathers thought they were going to lose. Did you know that? They didn't think they were going to win in the war for independence. They didn't care. They said, you know what, man, I'm just done. We're going to declare independence, meaning war with Britain. They thought they were going to lose. They wrote about how they were like, at least we can say we stood firm on our principles. And that's wow. And they knew when they signed that they were putting up not just their lives and their money, but the lives of their families were being put at risk as well. And then something happened. French intervention. The French intervention, depending on who you ask, but effectively saved the war for American independence. There was war in Europe. France saw an opportunity to destabilize Britain. And so they were like, we got a bunch of people who are going to help us fight. And so they went for it. We were aided by that. You may think that you can't win, but it does not matter. And again, I'll say it again. Look, if you're a liberal, Democrat, you know, socialist or whoever's watching this, same thing goes for you as well. What I'm saying is you always must stand up for what you believe in, even when you think you will lose. Now, I will say this to the people who are associated with the new right, whatever it is, faction, libertarian, moderate, conservatives, all of us who are sick and tired of the cult. I think we got this. I think if we go out and we stand firm and we say it doesn't matter, we're just going to go vote, we are going to win and it is going to be epic. It's not possible to beat the filibuster in the Senate, and not necessarily even a good idea to do away with it. We would need I believe you need 60 votes to bypass a filibuster, and that's not possible. I don't think enough Democrat seats are up for re-election. Republicans have more seats up for re-election, so it's a risky midterm. I think if everybody on the right just says, you know what, we're going to go out and we're going to stand up for what we believe in, even if we think we'll lose, even if you think there's fraud, none of that matters, you will be surprised. Trying to get everybody to just stand up for themselves, you know? This is the thing about the secret ballot. You don't need to go out and question your employer. You don't need to challenge Antifa. You don't need to put your family at risk. You go in and say, keep your mouth shut and just hit that button. Now, some people might say that they don't trust the system, so overwhelm it. Show up in such resounding and massive numbers that there will be no doubt. Donald Trump got 74 million votes. My real belief is that the Democrats did a lot. They changed the rules, like we saw in Pennsylvania. They expanded universal mail-in voting with the help of establishment Republicans. Big mistake on their part. And this made it easier for Democrats who already engage in grassroots activism, are collectivist and organized. What you need to understand is that you too can play this game. Mail-in voting, in my opinion, heavily favors Democrats. You can go out and campaign. It's harder. You'll need a car. It's more expensive. But no one ever said life was going to be easy. And if the easy route, there's no shortcuts. I'll put it that way. There's that old saying, I love it, that of course the shortcut is hard, because if it was easy, it would just be the way. If the shorter path was easy, everybody would just use it. But there's a reason they avoid it. In this instance, there's a long and grueling road. There are obstacles beset on all sides, and you have to acknowledge that. You are not going to just be given your freedom. You are not just going to be given a better economy if you don't go out and do everything in your power. And you can do more than just vote. You can post on social media. You can call your friends and your family. You can knock on doors. So much more powerful. Shout it again to Scott Pressler. Be like him. This dude has done everything in his power and then some to get more voters registered. And if you look at Florida, for the first time in a long time, more Republicans registered than Democrats. So how about this? You get the Republicans a supermajority, and they can roll through whatever they want. If the Republicans actually win, and I'll tell you why the primary is so important, and people like Kari Lake, this is when you need to win. The midterms matter, but if you get a bunch of rhinos, neocons, and establishment shills, you ain't getting nothing after they do win. The opportunity is in the primaries. It is in today, if you live in one of these states. So let me see if I have that. I think, here we go. NPR, Arizona, Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, and Washington. I don't care if you're in deep blue territory. Please go out and vote and bring your friends. These states matter. And especially Michigan. Look, if you've got concerns about the election, okay, all right, disagree with me, tell me I'm wrong, and then go vote. Flood the system with your friends, everyone just voting, just overwhelm it with massive, getting everybody out, getting everyone encouraged to vote. And then when y'all win, you can do what you need to do. How about that? All right, anyway, shout out to Trump, I guess. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. tonight at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.